The text message from the realtor lit up my phone screen like a beacon of hope. Everything's ready for closing tomorrow. Just need your down payment confirmation. I smiled, running my fingers over the marble countertop of my aunt's pristine kitchen. After years of saving every penny, my dream of owning a craftsman-style house was finally within reach. My name is Malia, and I was about to learn the hard way that family and money are a dangerous mix. More wine, sweetheart? Aunt Sharon's voice pulled me from my thoughts. She stood there in her designer dress, crystal decanter poised. The family matriarch since my mother's death, she had insisted on hosting this special dinner tonight. No thanks. I should keep a clear head for tomorrow's closing. Her perfectly plucked eyebrows arched. Oh? What closing? I'm buying a house, I said, unable to contain my excitement. Remember that craftsman I showed you pictures of? The one with the wraparound porch? She set down the decanter with a sharp clink. Darling, we need to talk about something important first. The shift in her tone made my stomach clench. What's wrong? There's been a family emergency. She pulled out her iPad, manicured fingers tapping the screen. Your cousin George's medical bills have completely drained the family fund. We need everyone to pitch in. What family fund? The one your mother helped establish before she passed. Surely you remember signing the paperwork last year? She slid the iPad across the table. You agreed to be a joint holder on the account. My hands went cold as I stared at the banking app. My savings account, the one I'd been building for years, showed a balance of $246 on 12. What did you do? My voice came out as a whisper. What was necessary for family? Sharon's face softened with practiced sympathy. Georgia needed emergency surgery. The family always comes first, Malia. Your mother would have wanted— Don't. I stood up so fast my chair toppled backward. Don't you dare use Mom to justify this. Sit down, she commanded, her mask slipping. You're being dramatic. Dramatic? You stole my house down payment. I did no such thing. You authorized the transfer when you signed the joint account agreement. What agreement? I never— Then I remembered. The stack of papers she'd had me sign during Christmas dinner. She'd said they were updated beneficiary forms for Mom's old life insurance policy. You tricked me. The realization hit like a physical blow. Sharon's lips thinned. I protected you from making an impulsive decision. You're not ready for homeownership. The family needed those funds more than you needed some silly house. I pulled out my phone with trembling fingers. I'm calling the police. Go ahead. Her smile turned razor sharp. I have your signature on every document. Perfectly legal. Legal doesn't make it right. Right? She laughed. Right is protecting this family's interests. Right is honoring your mother's wishes by putting family first. You're still so young, so naive. I leaned across the table, getting right in her face. Mom would be disgusted by what you've done. The color drained from her cheeks. Get out of my house. Gladly. I grabbed my purse and headed for the door. But don't think this is over. Don't be foolish, Malia. You can't win against me. I turned back, meeting her gaze. Watch me. The door slammed behind me with satisfying force. In my car, I finally let the tears fall. Years of savings, gone in an instant. My dream house slipping away. But beneath the grief, something harder was taking shape. Determination. My phone buzzed. The realtor again. Need that confirmation by 9 a.m. tomorrow. Everything okay? I typed back with shaking fingers. Have to postpone. Family emergency. Then I opened my contacts and scrolled to a number I hadn't called in years. Nick, my childhood best friend who'd become a financial investigator. He picked up on the third ring. Malia? It's been forever. Nick, I need your help. I took a deep breath. Remember all those weird things we noticed about Aunt Sharon after Mom died? I think I just found the tip of the iceberg. I'm listening. Good. Because I'm about to tear my aunt's perfect little world apart. As I drove home that night, Sharon's words echoed in my head. Family comes first. She She was right about one thing. This was about family, but not the way she thought. This was about justice, truth, and making sure she never hurt another person the way she'd hurt me. The game was on, and I intended to win. The attic of my mother's old house smelled like dust and forgotten memories. Cardboard boxes towered around me, each one a potential clue to unraveling Aunt Sharon's web of lies. I'd been at it for hours when my phone buzzed. Any luck? Nick's voice crackled through the speaker. Nothing yet. I shifted another box, sending a cloud of dust into the air. But Sharon's story about Georgia's medical bills doesn't add up. I just got off the phone with Georgia herself. She hasn't had any surgery. Interesting. What else? Mom's will is missing. The copy Sharon showed us after the funeral left everything to the family trust. But I distinctly remember Mom telling me she'd set up individual inheritances for... The attic floorboard creaked behind me. I spun around to find my cousin Heidi standing at the top of the stairs, her eyes wide. I'll call you back. I whispered to Nick and hung up. What are you doing up here? Heidi asked, stepping closer. I could ask you the same thing. This is still my mother's house. Heidi's face softened. Sharon sent me to check on you. She's worried you might do something rash. Worried I might find something, you mean? I pulled out a dusty folder. Like these bank statements showing transfers to offshore accounts starting the day after Mom died. Heidi's hands began to fidget with her necklace, a nervous habit she'd had since childhood. Malia, please be careful. Sharon has connections. Is that a threat? A warning. She glanced over her shoulder. Look, I shouldn't be telling you this, but last year, when I questioned some discrepancies in my trust fund, strange things started happening. My job applications were mysteriously rejected. My rental application was denied. I set down the folder. Sharon did that to you? Heidi nodded. She has Fletcher, the family lawyer, in her pocket, and Hazel handles all the financial cover-ups. Hazel? Mom's old business partner? The same. They've been working together for years. Heidi moved closer, lowering her voice. But Sharon made a mistake with you. She got greedy, took too much at once, left a paper trail. I pulled out my phone and started taking pictures of the bank statements. Help me, Heidi. Help me take her down. She hesitated. I can't openly oppose her, but... She reached into her bag and pulled out a small key. This opens Mom's old filing cabinet at the lake house. Sharon doesn't know I have it. As I took the key, something fluttered from between the bank statements. A handwritten note in my mother's familiar script. My dearest Malia, if you're reading this, something has gone wrong. Don't trust the official will. The real one is with Marcus at Coastal Credit Union. Sharon must never know. Love, Mom. My hands shook. Did you know about this? Heidi shook her head. But it doesn't surprise me. Aunt Sharon's been rewriting family history for years. The attic door suddenly slammed below. Heavy footsteps on the stairs. Quick, Heidi whispered, grabbing the documents and shoving them into her bag. Act natural. Fletcher appeared at the top of the stairs, his expensive suit out of place among the dusty boxes. Ladies, Sharon sent me to check on you. Just helping Malia sort through some old memories, Heidi said smoothly. Right, cousin? I forced a smile. Right, nothing important here. Fletcher's eyes narrowed slightly. Sharon mentioned you might be upset about the family fund situation. Perhaps we should discuss this in my office. No need, I said, standing up. I understand perfectly now. Family comes first, right? He nodded slowly. Exactly. I'm glad you're being reasonable about this. As we followed him downstairs, Heidi squeezed my hand. 3 quick pulses, our childhood signal for meet me later. Outside, Nick was waiting in his car around the corner. I slipped into the passenger seat and pulled out my phone, showing him the photos of the bank statements. This is bigger than we thought, he said, scrolling through the images. These transfers. They're sophisticated. Professional. Can you trace them? It'll take time. But Malia, he looked at me seriously. If what I'm seeing is right, this isn't just about your savings anymore. This could be major financial fraud. I thought about my mother's note, about Heidi's warning, about the years of manipulation I was just beginning to understand. Good, I said, because I'm done playing nice. First stop, Coastal Credit Union. It's time to find my mother's real will. Nick started the car. Sharon won't know what hit her. No, I agreed, watching my childhood home disappear in the rearview mirror. She won't. The coffee shop buzzed with morning activity as Heidi slid into the booth across from me, her face pale. Sharon's on the warpath. She knows you went to Coastal Credit Union yesterday. Let her fume. I pushed a latte toward her. The bank manager confirmed Mom's safety deposit box was emptied 3 days after her death. Care to guess who signed for access? Sharon and Hazel, Heidi said, wrapping her hands around the warm cup. They're always together when something shady happens. Bingo. But here's the interesting part. The manager remembered them because they argued in the lobby. Apparently, Hazel wasn't happy about something. Nick appeared with his laptop, sliding in next to me. Speaking of Hazel, you'll want to see this. He turned the screen toward us, showing a series of bank transfers. Every major withdrawal from your account was followed by a deposit into Hazel's offshore account within hours. Heidi leaned forward. That's not all. Remember Thomas, Sharon's ex-husband? He didn't leave her for his secretary like everyone thinks. He found something in her files and threatened to expose her. A week later, his business was audited, and he lost everything. Jesus, I whispered. How long has this been going on? Years. Sharon's been playing Puppet Master since before your mom died. The family fund is just her cover for... The bell above the coffee shop door chimed. Hazel walked in, her designer handbag clutched tight against her cream blazer. Our table fell silent. She spotted us and froze. For a moment, something like guilt flashed across her face. Then she turned and hurried out. Follow her, Nick said, already standing. I'll track her car. I caught up with Hazel in the parking lot. We need to talk. She quickened her pace. I have nothing to say to you. Really? Not even about my mother's safety deposit box? She stopped so abruptly I almost ran into her. You don't understand what you're dealing with? Then explain it to me. Hazel glanced around the empty parking lot. Not here. Meet me at the old boathouse by the lake. 3 o'clock. Come alone. Before I could respond, she jumped into her Mercedes and sped away. Well, that was dramatic, Heidi said, catching up. You're not really going alone, are you? Of course not. Nick will be nearby. I checked my phone. A text from Fletcher had just arrived. Need to discuss recent developments. My office, 2 p.m. He's trying to head us off, Heidi said, reading over my shoulder. Sharon must be getting nervous. Good. Let's give her something to really worry about. I forwarded Nick's banking evidence to my email, then dialed Fletcher's number. I'll be there, I told him. But I'm bringing proof of fraud. Your choice whether you want to be part of the problem or the solution. Silence on the line. Then, my office has a back entrance. Use that. 2 hours later, I sat across from Fletcher in his wood-paneled office, sliding copies of the bank transfers across his desk. His face grew increasingly pale as he reviewed them. He cleared his throat. This is very serious. No kidding. Want to tell me why you've been helping cover it up? He loosened his tie. Your aunt can be very persuasive. She has information that could ruin my career. Blackmail. Add it to the list. I leaned forward. Help me take her down, Fletcher, or go down with her. He stared at the documents for a long moment. There's a USB drive in her personal safe, records of everything, but I don't have access. Heidi does, I said. Sharon trusts her to water the plants when she's away. Fletcher checked his watch. Sharon has a charity board meeting at 4. The safe is behind the painting in her study. I stood up. Looks like I'll be late to my meeting with Hazel. Hazel? His head snapped up. Don't trust her, Malia. She's not what she seems. What do you mean? But Fletcher was already shuffling papers, avoiding my eyes. Just be careful. And Malia? I never saw these documents, and we never had this conversation. Outside, Nick was waiting in his car. How'd it go? Change of plans. We need to get into Sharon's house before 4. I showed him Fletcher's text with the safe combination. Ready to commit some light breaking and entering? Breaking and entering to expose fraud and theft? He grinned. I'm in. As we drove toward Sharon's house, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Your mother tried to stop her too. Don't make her mistakes. Nick, I said quietly. I think we need to find out what really happened to my mom. He gripped the steering wheel tighter. One thing at a time. First, let's see what's in that safe. I nodded, watching Sharon's mansion grow larger in the windshield. One way or another, today would change everything. The security code beeped green as Heidi led us into Sharon's house. My heart pounded against my ribs as we crept toward the study. Hurry, Heidi whispered. Sharon's meetings sometimes end early. Nick kept watch at the door while I moved the painting. A pretentious oil landscape, revealing the wall safe behind it. My fingers trembled as I input the combination Fletcher had provided. The safe clicked open. Got it, I breathed, reaching inside. My hand closed around a USB drive, several folders, and... What's this? A small red diary, its leather worn soft with age. My mother's initials were embossed on the cover. Guys? Nick's urgent voice cut through the silence. Car coming up the driveway. It's Hazel's Mercedes, Heidi hissed, peeking through the curtains. I shoved everything into my bag. Fire escape, now. We scrambled down the metal stairs just as the front door opened. Crouching behind a hedge, we watched Hazel stride into the house, phone pressed to her ear. Yes, Sharon, I'm here. No, the safe looks untouched. Of course, I'll check the USB is still... What? Her voice rose sharply. What do you mean, Fletcher called? Nick tugged my arm. Time to go. We ran to his car parked around the corner. As we pulled away, I saw Hazel burst out of the house, frantically dialing her phone. That was too close, Heidi said from the back seat. What did you find? I pulled out the USB drive. Let's find out. Nick drove us to his apartment where he could safely access the drive's contents. While he worked, I opened my mother's diary, its pages filled with her familiar handwriting. Holy shit, Nick said suddenly, staring at his laptop screen. These aren't just banking records. There are emails, contracts, offshore account details. Sharon's been embezzling from multiple family trusts for years. Look at this, I said, pointing to a diary entry. Mom wrote that she confronted Sharon about missing funds 3 days before she died. She was going to expose everything at the next family meeting. Heidi's face went white. The meeting she never made it to because of her accident. A heavy silence fell over the room. Nick cleared his throat. There's more. These documents show Sharon and Hazel have been running a sophisticated fraud scheme. They've been using the family trust as a front to... A sharp knock at the door made us all jump. Police! Open up! Nick quickly ejected the USB drive and tossed it to me. Back door, go, I'll handle this. Heidi and I slipped out just as Nick opened the front door. Through the window, I glimpsed Fletcher standing behind 2 officers. We ran 3 blocks before stopping to catch our breath. My phone buzzed. A text from Nick. Safe. Fletcher filed complaint about stolen documents. Cops leaving. Meet at usual spot in 1 hour. We need to talk to Hazel, Heidi said. She's the weak link. Did you see her panic back there? Already on it. I showed her my phone, a message I'd sent to Hazel. Have the USB. Know everything. Meeting in 30 mins at the lake house or these docs go public. The response came quickly. Coming alone. Don't do anything stupid. The lake house was deserted when we arrived. Heidi took position upstairs with a clear view of the approach while I waited on the deck. The USB drive felt heavy in my pocket. Hazel's Mercedes appeared right on time. She got out slowly, hands raised to show she was alone. Where's Sharon? I called out. Not coming. Hazel climbed the deck steps. She doesn't know I'm here. Start talking. She sank into a chair, suddenly looking older and tired. Your mother was my best friend. When she discovered what Sharon was doing, I helped her gather evidence. But Sharon found out and... She swallowed hard. The night before your mother died, Sharon threatened my daughter's life if I didn't help cover everything up. Why tell me this now? Because of this. She pulled out a folded paper from her jacket. Your mother's last letter to me. Read it. My hands shook as I unfolded the paper. The date showed one day before Mom died. Hazel, if anything happens to me, the proof is in the summer cabin's basement. Behind the old wine rack. Keep Malia safe. She's the only one strong enough to finish this. I looked up at Hazel. The cabin's been locked for years. She reached into her purse and withdrew a key. Not anymore. Before I could respond, Heidi's warning shout rang out. Cars coming, multiple. Headlights appeared on the access road. 3 vehicles approaching fast. Sharon, Hazel whispered. She must have followed me. I grabbed her arm. Is what's in that cabin enough to take her down? She nodded. Everything. The original will, proof of her crimes, all of it. Then let's go, now. As we rushed to her car, my phone lit up with a message from Nick. Got away from cops. Sharon's called an emergency family meeting for tomorrow. Whatever you're planning, do it fast. The game was reaching its endgame. And this time, I had all the pieces. The summer cabin's basement smelled like mold and secrets. Hazel's flashlight beam cut through the darkness, illuminating rows of dusty wine racks. There, she pointed. The 3rd rack from the left. My fingers traced the wooden frame until I felt it. A slight gap behind the rack. Pulling hard, the entire section swung out like a door, revealing a small alcove. Clever, Mom, I whispered, reaching inside. A metal lockbox sat waiting, exactly where she'd hidden it years ago. Hazel handed me a small key from her keyring, her hands trembling. Sharon's probably already at the lake house, she said. We don't have much time. The lockbox opened with a click. Inside, I found a thick manila envelope and a USB drive labeled Evidence. Footsteps creaked on the floor above us. We froze. Malia? Nick's voice called down. It's me and Heidi. Relief flooded through me. Down here. They hurried down the stairs, Heidi clutching her phone. Sharon's gone ballistic. She's called every family member, telling them you've lost your mind and are making up lies about her. Perfect timing then, I said, pulling out the contents of the envelope. Because we just found... Wait. Something wasn't right. The papers were wrong. Too new, too crisp. And the USB drive. Hazel's flashlight beam suddenly steadied. I'm so sorry, Malia. The basement door slammed shut above us. A key turned in the lock. You set us up, I whispered. Heidi rushed up the stairs, rattling the door handle. It's locked. Sharon has my daughter, Hazel said, her voice breaking. I didn't have a choice. Heavy footsteps moved across the floor above. Sharon's voice carried through the door. Did you really think it would be that easy, Malia? That your mother would just leave evidence lying around for years? Where's the real evidence? I demanded, turning to Hazel. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Sharon destroyed most of it. What's left is in her private vault at First National. Along with your mother's real will. Sharon called down. Which, sadly, none of you will ever see. The police are on their way, Malia. Breaking and entering is such a serious charge. Nick pulled out his phone. No signal. Signal jammers. Hazel explained quietly. Sharon thinks of everything. I grabbed the flashlight from Hazel's hand and swung it toward the small window near the ceiling. Nick, give me a boost. Don't bother, Sharon said. Those windows are barred. Now, here's what's going to happen. The police will find you all trespassing with stolen documents in your possession. Quite a scandal. Unless what? Sign over your rights to the family trust. Walk away. I'll tell the police it was all a misunderstanding. I laughed, the sound harsh in the dark basement. You really think I care about the money now? This is about what you did to Mom. The silence above was deafening. Be careful, Malia, Sharon finally said. Accidents run in the family. Heidi gasped. Nick grabbed my arm. Even Hazel looked shocked. Did you just confess to killing my mother? Of course not. Sharon's voice turned silky. I'm simply pointing out that tragedy can strike anyone, even young, healthy people. Even tonight, while she talked, I'd been examining the bars on the window. They were old, rusted, and the frame. Nick, I whispered, those documents you copied from the USB drive, did you send them anywhere? He nodded. Encrypted email to my work account. Why? I pulled out my mother's diary. Because Sharon made the same mistake with me that she made with Mom. She underestimated how much evidence we'd already gathered. Raising my voice, I called up to Sharon. Hey, Aunt Sharon, remember Mom's old diary? The one from your safe? I just sent photos of every page to the family email list, including the entries about your threats before her death. You're bluffing. Check your phone. Footsteps rushed away from the door. A moment later, Sharon's scream of rage echoed through the house. Now, Nick, I hissed. He rammed his shoulder into the window frame. Once, twice. On the third hit, the entire frame broke free from the rotting wood. I turned to Hazel. Coming? She shook her head. I'll keep her distracted. Save your mother's name, Malia. Please. We climbed out just as police sirens wailed in the distance. Running through the woods, I could still hear Sharon's fury echoing from the cabin. Where now? Heidi panted as we ran. First National Bank, I said. The night manager owes Nick a favor, and Sharon's private vault won't stay private for long. My phone buzzed. Messages flooding in from family members responding to Mom's diary pages. Each one more shocked and angry than the last. The family meeting tomorrow just got a lot more interesting, Nick said. I smiled grimly. Sharon wanted to talk about family secrets? Fine. Let's talk about all of them. You can't access this vault without proper authorization, the night manager said, glancing nervously between Nick and me. Marcus, Nick leaned forward. Remember when I helped clear your brother's fraud charges? Time to return the favor. The manager wiped his brow. Sharon will sue the bank. Sharon will be too busy dealing with the FBI, I said, sliding Mom's diary across his desk. Read the entry from March 15th. His eyes widened as he read. This is about money laundering? And worse. I met his gaze. My mother died 3 days after writing that. Marcus stood abruptly. Follow me. The bank's vault area felt colder than the rest of the building. Marcus's keycard beeped 3 times before the heavy door swung open. Vault 247, he said, leading us down a narrow corridor. You have 15 minutes before the security system resets. Inside Sharon's vault, we found stacks of documents, USB drives, and a sealed envelope marked Original Will, Margaret Stanley. Got it, I breathed, hands shaking as I opened the envelope. Nick was photographing everything else with his phone. Malia, look at this. Offshore account numbers, transaction records. Sharon's been stealing from more than just your family. A text lit up my phone. Where are you? Sharon's called the police again. Heidi. We need to hurry, I said, stuffing the will into my jacket. Suddenly, the vault door began to close. No, no, no. Nick jammed his foot in the gap, but it kept moving. Marcus, override it. The manager's voice crackled through the intercom. I'm sorry. Sharon's here with security. She knows about the access. Marcus, don't. The door sealed with a heavy thunk, trapping us inside. Well, Nick said into the darkness, this is less than ideal. I pulled out my phone, using its light to examine the documents we'd found. At least we have what we came for. Mom's real will, proof of Sharon's crimes. Which won't matter if we suffocate in here. The intercom crackled again. This time, Sharon's voice filled the vault. Found something interesting, dear niece? You killed her, didn't you? I said. Mom was going to expose you, so you had her killed. Such an active imagination. But since you're so interested in the truth, let me tell you what really happened to your mother. Nick was examining the vault door's hinges with my phone's light. He caught my eye and nodded slightly. Keep her talking. Your mother was weak, Sharon continued. She thought everyone deserved an equal share of the family wealth. She wanted to dissolve the trust, give everyone their portion. Can you imagine? All that carefully managed money scattered to the winds. So you stopped her. I tried to reason with her, offered her a partnership, but she was determined to ruin everything I'd built. The brake lines in her car, that was regrettable, but necessary. Nick froze. I felt the blood drain from my face. Did you just confess to murder over a recorded bank security system? Silence. Then chaos erupted outside the vault. Multiple voices shouted. Something heavy fell. The door's mechanism whirred to life, and it swung open to reveal Heidi standing with Marcus and 2 FBI agents. Her phone was held up, recording. I called in that favor you mentioned, she said to Nick. The FBI was very interested in Sharon's financial activities. Sharon was face down on the floor, hands being cuffed behind her back. You stupid girl, she spat at me. You have no idea what you've done. Actually, one of the agents said, thanks to your confession and the evidence Ms. Stanley just recovered, we know exactly what's been done. Sharon Mills, you're under arrest for fraud, embezzlement, and the murder of Margaret Stanley. As they led Sharon away, I clutched Mom's will to my chest. Is it really over? Almost, Nick said. We still have the family meeting tomorrow. Heidi smiled grimly. The whole family heard Sharon's confession. I was broadcasting it live to the family group chat. My phone buzzed with a message from Hazel. Sharon's daughter helped me escape. I'll testify about everything. Tell your mother's story. The next few hours passed in a blur of FBI interviews and document processing. By dawn, we'd given our statements, and Sharon was being held without bail. Back at my apartment, Nick, Heidi, and I sat around my kitchen table, empty coffee cups scattered between us. The family meeting starts in 4 hours, Heidi said. What's the plan? I opened Mom's will, reading it carefully. We'd tell them everything, about Sharon's schemes, about Mom's murder, about how the trust was supposed to be distributed years ago. They'll be shocked, Nick warned. Angry. Some might not believe it. They'll believe this. I held up the will. Mom left clear instructions. Equal shares for everyone, just like Sharon feared. It's time to make things right. Heidi reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Your mom would be proud. I looked at the rising sun through my window. One more thing to do first. Nick, can you drive me somewhere? Where to? The cemetery. I need to tell Mom we finally got justice. The truth had cost my mother her life. But now, finally, it would set our family free. The family meeting room crackled with tension. Every chair around the massive oak table was filled. Faces I hadn't seen in years now turned toward me expectantly. Georgia sat directly across, fingers nervously tapping her water glass. Fletcher lurked in the corner, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Before we begin, I said, standing at the head of the table where Sharon usually sat, I want to thank everyone for coming on such short notice. Is it true? Georgia burst out. About Sharon? The arrest? I nodded. But there's more, much more. I placed Mom's diary on the table. Let's start with what really happened to my mother. The room fell silent as I read the final entries. Mom's suspicions about Sharon, the threats, the discovery of missing funds. With each word, the tension grew thicker. That's impossible, Uncle Robert interrupted. Sharon said Margaret's death was an accident. Sharon lied about a lot of things, Heidi said, standing beside me. She played the recorded confession from the bank vault on the room's speakers. Gasps filled the room. Georgia started crying. Uncle Robert's face turned purple. The FBI has confirmed everything, Nick added, distributing copies of the financial records. Sharon's been stealing from all of you for years. The family fund was a front for her personal accounts. What about our trusts? Aunt Patricia demanded. Our inheritances? I pulled out Mom's original will. Everything was supposed to be distributed equally after Mom died. Sharon hid this will and created a fake one to maintain control. Fletcher stepped forward, clearing his throat. I can confirm this. I helped Sharon create the fraudulent will. You what? Uncle Robert stood so fast his chair toppled backward. Sit down, Robert, I said firmly. Fletcher's already confessed to the FBI in exchange for leniency, but he's not the only one who helped Sharon. The door opened and Hazel walked in. Several people started shouting at once. Please, Hazel raised her hands. Let me explain everything. For the next 30 minutes, Hazel detailed Sharon's years of manipulation and fraud, the hidden accounts, the threatened families, the carefully constructed web of lies that had kept everyone in line. Why come forward now? Georgia asked, wiping her eyes. Because of Malia, Hazel said. She did what her mother couldn't. She gathered enough evidence to bring Sharon down safely. I opened my laptop, projecting account statements onto the wall. These are your real inheritance amounts before Sharon's theft. The FBI has frozen all her assets. With her confession and these records, everything can be restored to its rightful owners. The room erupted in overlapping conversations. Questions about amounts, accusations about who knew what, demands for immediate action. Enough. I slammed my hand on the table. This isn't just about money. My mother died trying to protect this family from Sharon's greed. She wanted everyone to have their fair share, to be free from manipulation and threats. Silence fell again. I've prepared documents to dissolve the family trust, Nick said, passing out folders. Once signed, everyone will receive their full inheritance as originally intended. What about Sharon's share? Aunt Patricia asked. Forfeited, I replied. The FBI is seizing her assets as proceeds of crime, but her daughter Amy will receive her mother's original inheritance portion, as Mom intended. Georgia stood up, tears in her eyes. I'd like to say something. She turned to face me. Malia, I had no idea Sharon was using my name to steal your savings. I'm so sorry. I know, I said softly. She used all of us against each other. That ends today. One by one, family members came forward to sign the dissolution documents. With each signature, I could feel Mom's presence growing stronger in the room. There's one more thing, I said as the last paper was signed. Mom left letters for each of you, hidden with her will. Sharon never found them. I distributed the sealed envelopes, watching as people opened them with trembling hands. Soon the room was filled with sniffles and quiet sobs as they read Mom's final words. What happens now? Heidi asked as the meeting wound down. Sharon's preliminary hearing is next week, Nick answered. With the evidence and confessions we have, she'll never see freedom again. Family members began filtering out, some hugging me, others still too shocked to speak. Georgia lingered. I'd like to help, she said. With the court case, with anything. I want to make things right. I hugged her. Mom would like that. Later, as Nick drove me home, I finally felt the weight lifting from my shoulders. I can buy my house now, I realized, laughing suddenly. After all this, that's what you're thinking about? Mom always said home is where you build your future. I smiled, watching the sunset paint the sky. It's time I built mine. My phone buzzed. A text from the realtor. The Craftsman house is still available. Ready to move forward? Yes, I typed back. I'm ready for everything. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters as Sharon was led out in handcuffs. She caught my eye as she passed, her designer outfit replaced by prison orange, her perfect makeup gone. For a moment, I saw something I'd never seen before in her expression. Defeat. Life sentence, Nick said, squeezing my hand. No possibility of parole. Heidi hugged me from the other side. It's really over. Not quite, I said, watching Sharon disappear into the prison transport van. There's one more thing to do. The drive to my new house felt different this time. The Craftsman's wraparound porch welcomed us with late afternoon sunshine, and Georgia was already waiting on the steps with a box in her hands. Found these in Sharon's storage unit, she said as we approached. Old family photos. Thought you might want them for the house. Inside, the empty rooms echoed with possibility. Nick and Heidi started unpacking boxes while Georgia and I sorted through the photos on the floor. Look at this one, she said, holding up a faded picture. Your mom and Sharon as teenagers. They actually looked happy together. Before money poisoned everything, I said, taking the photo. Young Sharon smiled at the camera, arm around my mother's shoulders. Both so innocent, unaware of what lay ahead. The doorbell rang. Hazel stood on the porch with her daughter Amy. We brought a housewarming gift, Amy said, holding out a small pot of herbs. Mom said Aunt Margaret used to grow these in her kitchen. Basil, Hazel smiled. She always said a home needs something living to grow with it. I invited them in, watching as Amy gravitated toward Georgia and the photos. Soon they were sharing stories, laughing over old memories, creating new connections Sharon had tried so hard to prevent. Fletcher arrived next carrying a thick folder. The last of the paperwork. Everyone's inheritances have been properly distributed, and he pulled out a set of keys. These belong to you, your mother's lake house. The real estate agent can list it whenever you're ready. I'm not selling it, I said, taking the keys. Mom loved that place. We'll use it for family gatherings. Real ones this time. The afternoon flowed into evening. More family members dropped by with food, furniture, and stories. Uncle Robert installed new security locks while his wife helped arrange the kitchen. Cousin Thomas set up the Wi-Fi network. The house slowly came alive with voices and laughter. Nick found me on the porch, taking a break from the chaos inside. You okay? He asked, handing me a glass of wine. Better than okay. I looked through the window at my family. My real family, working together to build something new. Just thinking about Mom. She wanted this, you know? Not just the fair distribution of money, but this. Family supporting each other instead of tearing each other apart. She'd be proud of you. Of us, I corrected. I couldn't have done this alone. Heidi poked her head out. Hey, we found something interesting in one of Sharon's boxes. You need to see this. Inside, everyone had gathered around the dining table where Hazel was holding a manila envelope. These are letters Sharon wrote but never sent, she explained. One for each family member, including you, Malia. She wrote them the night before her arrest. I opened mine slowly, recognizing Sharon's precise handwriting. Malia, by the time you read this, I'll have lost everything. You're stronger than your mother was, smarter. You beat me at my own game, and part of me is proud of that. I convinced myself I was protecting the family fortune, but you protected the family itself. That's what Margaret would have wanted. I'm sorry I lost sight of that. Sharon. Well, Georgia said into the silence. That's as close to a real apology as we'll ever get from her. It's enough, I said, folding the letter. We can't change the past, but we can build something better. Nick raised his wine glass. To new beginnings? To family, I corrected, looking around at the faces of people who had gone from strangers to supporters. The real kind. Later that night, after everyone had gone home, I sat on my new porch swing, listening to the neighborhood settle into darkness. The house keys felt right in my hand, like they'd been waiting for me all along. My phone lit up with a message from Georgia. Thank you for bringing us back together. Dinner at my place next week? I smiled, typing back. Wouldn't miss it. Inside, the basil plant sat on my windowsill, its leaves reaching toward the moonlight. Mom was right. A home needs something living to grow with it. And now, finally, both the house and our family had room to grow. The porch swing creaked gently as I rocked, at peace with the quiet. Sharon had tried to build an empire of secrets and fear. Instead, she'd given me the chance to build something much stronger. Truth, trust, and a real home for the family Mom had always believed in.